Moth Pendant, much like the Dragonfly Pendant, is an interesting challenge, but it's probably more suitable, unlike the Dragonfly Pendant, which is quite thin and fragile and delicate. This is slightly broader in terms of the elements that you have to carve out, so it's approachable for a beginner, but not, well, a beginner that's had a little bit of experience. Clearly, the weak points are where the wings go across the wood grain and the central tail of the body. Because the tail of the body is in line with the grain, it should be stronger and so should cope with the knife cutting into it. The wings, you just need to be a little bit careful that you don't slice too much in that direction, as you may find that the knife will slice through. Now, before you begin, it's a good idea to take a quick picture of the pendant carving kit as it comes, so that you've got a record of all of the lines and the details, so that you can add those again a bit later once you've shaved the lines away. So to begin with, you're going to start on either side and just shave the wood away until you come into these outer points of the upper wings. Once you've carved into those, you then start the knife from just below them and start shaving down at an angle, removing all of this waste wood down to the body and down to the body. Once you've done that, you'll then find that you've got these little nooks and crannies that you need to carve into. In order to do that, make a straight cut into that side and then gently slice up that way to remove some of the wood. Repeat that, alternating in direction until you've got into the tight areas. And then coming across to the top, because you're going to be carving across what's known as the end grain, which is where the wood fibres have been cut, you need to be aware that the knife might get stuck and it might skip. So go gently, but same process, slice along, and then from the opposite direction, slice back to remove bits of wood. Once you've got the shape set out and you're happy that you've come into the lines neatly, you can then start to look to add some three-dimensional shaping. When it comes to winged insects and birds, generally the best idea is to have it so that the wings actually come down and come to the very back of the wood, and that way, when it's being worn, it'll be balanced. If you have the wings coming up so they finish there, but the body is lower, you'll find that the pendant just drops from either side to side and doesn't sit very well when it's being worn. But it's entirely up to you. In order to separate the body from the wings, or to distinguish the body from the wings, take the tip of the knife and follow the line that distinguishes the body on either side, and then make very fine slice cuts up towards that score line to remove thin layers of wood. Once you've lifted the body relative to the wings, you can then start to shape the wings out. Again, you may wish to separate these wings a little bit more, or to differentiate them by lowering the lower wing from the upper wing. In order to do that, same process. Score with the tip of the knife along that line and then slice from underneath. By doing that, you'll create a nice bit of shadow difference between the upper wing and the lower wing. Do the same on that side, and then you can start to shape the wings down towards the outer edge. Once you're happy with the shape of the wings, you can then start to shape the back of the moth's body in order to create a cylindrical shape, and do the same for the head. Now, the legs at the front are entirely optional. They're probably more suited to intermediate and advanced wood carvers, simply because they're very small and are easily snapped off or cut off. Once you've got the three-dimensional shape pretty much as you want it, if you want to clean it up a little bit or smooth it off, take the sandpaper that came in your carving kit and start with the coarsest grit, which is the 120 grit, and then move to the 180 and to the 240. They're all marked on the back. Once you've finished with the 240, the surface should be very nice and smooth, and then you can look to add some of the detailing, like the banding on the tail of the moth, and maybe the eyes as well. Refer back to the image that you took at the start, draw them on with a pencil, and then use that score line technique and slices just to differentiate the little areas. With all of the details done and you're happy, you can then take your screw-in eyelet find the central balance point, which hopefully should be right on the head of the moth, and simply screw it in. Once it's tight, you can then thread the cord through and your moth is ready to wear. I hope you enjoy carving.